Hare Krishna devotees, today's shloka for the day is shloka number 9 of chapter 8. Kavim Puranam Manushasitaram
Kavin Puranam Manushasitaram
Anoraniyam Samanusmaredyah
Anoraniya Samanusvaredhya
Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam
Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam
Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat.
Aditya Varanam Tamasasparasthat.
Word for word meaning and translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Kavim,
Kavim,
the one who knows everything.
the one who knows everything.
Puranam,
Puranam,
the oldest.
the oldest.
Anushasitaram,
Anushasitaram,
the controller.
the controller.
Anaha,
Anaha,
than the atom.
than the atom.
Aniyamsam,
Aniyamsam,
smaller.
smaller.
Anusmaret,
Anusmaret,
always thinks of.
always thinks of.
Yaha,
Yaha,
one who.
one who.
Sarvasya,
Sarvasya,
of everything.
of everything.
Dhataram,
Dhataram,
the maintainer.
the maintainer.
Achintya,
Achintya,
inconceivable.
inconceivable.
Rupam,
Rupam,
whose form.
whose form.
Aditya Varnam,
Aditya Varnam,
luminous like the sun.
luminous like the sun.
Tamasaha,
Tamasaha,
to darkness.
to darkness.
Parastat,
Parastat,
transcendental.
transcendental.
Translation: one should meditate upon the Supreme Person
One should meditate upon the Supreme Person
as the one who knows everything,
as the one who knows everything,
as He who is the oldest,
as He who is the oldest,
who is the controller,
who is the controller,
who is smaller than the smallest,
who is smaller than the smallest,
who is the maintainer of everything,
who is the maintainer of everything,
who is beyond all material conception,
who is beyond all material conception,
who is inconceivable,
who is inconceivable,
and who is always a person.
and who is always a person.
He is luminous like the sun,
He is luminous like the sun,
and He is transcendental,
and He is transcendental,
beyond this material nature.
beyond this material nature.
So this is the section where the Lord talks about how those who are practicing Ashtanga Yoga, mixed with a little bit of Bhakti, can actually remember Him. So let's look at the shloka in detail. So this is essentially a fusion of a little bit of devotion and a little bit of Ashtanga Yoga sadhana. And Prabhupada says that the process of thinking of the Supreme is mentioned in this verse. And Prabhupada emphasizes that the foremost point in this particular shloka is that the Lord is a person. He is not just some white light, or He is not a void. So one cannot meditate on something impersonal or void, Prabhupada is saying. It's only natural for a human being to want to focus on a form. So if you have to meditate on the formless aspect of the Lord, it presents a lot of challenges for you. So that's why the Ashtanga yogi who wants to focus on the Paramatma form of the Lord, it's a little easier for them. So trying to meditate on the formless is actually very difficult. The process of thinking of Krishna, however, is very easy and is factually stated herein. So one can think of Krishna as opposed to thinking about the formless aspect of the Lord. That makes it easier for you to meditate. So in this particular verse, the Lord has mentioned 8 divine aspects of Himself. Kavi means He is the knower of the past, present, and future. Puranam, he is the most ancient. There is no source to the Supreme Lord. He is the source of everything. He is without beginning or an end. Anushasitaram, that he is the supreme controller and he is the lawmaker. But the laws are administered by the demigods. It's not necessarily administered directly by the Supreme Lord himself. Anoraniyan, God is said to exist in the most subtle aspects of matter. So he is subtler even than the soul. The soul is so subtle, it is said that it is 1/10,000th the tip of the hair. The Lord is even more subtle than that. Sarvasya dhata, that the Lord is the source of everything and he sustains everything. Without the Lord's presence in the universe, nothing can exist. Achintya rupam. Achintya means inconceivable. So both he and all of his divine energies, they are just beyond our logic and reason. We will never be able to understand or comprehend the Lord's inconceivable potency. Aditya Varna. One of the names of the sun god is Aditya. So here the Lord compares himself to be like the dazzling sun. What is the role of the sun? It eradicates darkness. Tamasaf parastat. Similarly, the Lord, with his sheer presence in the form of the holy names, can also dissipate the darkness. So every time you're chanting the holy names of the Lord, the darkness is being dispelled in your consciousness. Prabhupada writes, therefore, intelligent persons, avoiding useless argument and speculation, should accept what is stated in scriptures like the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam, and follow the principles they set down. This will lead one to understanding. So what is Prabhupada saying? The answers to the vexing problems of material life is already given in the scriptures. We just have to follow the scriptures, have faith and follow the scriptures. So His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says very nicely that the confirmation will come by conformation. Confirmation that God exists and He is the Supreme Lord, He has all these 8 divine aspects, will actually come when you conform to the scriptures. So confirmation means when we conform according to the scripture standards that are given. Scriptures give certain teachings and then they give us certain practices. This is how we should act. This is how we should live. So first we have to accept the scriptures and follow what the scriptures enjoin us to do. So if we don't follow the scriptures, you will not get that realization that you're seeking, that God in fact does exist and that God does love you. So a few more things that we want to cover here is that from the purports of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, because this section talks about the Mishra Bhaktas, which means where Bhakti is mixed with something else, or rather the transcendental path is mixed with a little bit of Bhakti, which means it's not pure Bhakti. So there are 4 categories that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur identifies. The first topmost one is called Kevala Bhakti or Uttama Bhakti, where you are practicing 100% pure Bhakti. And what is the destination that you get if you practice pure Bhakti? You will go to Golok Vrindavan and you will achieve Krishna Prema. Kevala Bhakti means pure devotion. Kevala means only. So this bhakti is not contaminated by your material desires or by this yoga or by that yoga. It's only bhakti. Then there is a certain process where there is more than 50% bhakti. This is called Pradhani Bhuta Bhaktas. What is the destination for them when they practice bhakti a little bit more, but then it is contaminated with other yogic processes? Then the destination that they get is called Vaikunta Shantarati, which means they go in the Shantaras and they enter the Vaikunta planets to serve Lord Narayana and Lakshmi Devi. So Pradhan means principal, which means they have some other things also in their bhakti. There may be yoga, there may be jnana, but primarily it is bhakti. So bhakti is a little bit more than 50%. Then the third aspect is Guni Bhuta Bhakti. What is the destination? For those whose combination of bhakti with other transcendental paths, but then bhakti makes up for less than 50% of what they're practicing, then they get the Brahma Jyoti. So, and then there is the other path that's called the pure Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, and Karma Yoga. But if they add a little bit of bhakti to that Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Karma Yoga, their destination is also the Brahma Jyoti. But they have to begin their sadhana in bhakti. So in these 2, 3, and 4, there is some Mishra. This is called Mishra Bhakti. Mishra means mixed. But generally in all these 3 processes, there is progression upwards. The progression includes purification. But it is only when you practice pure bhakti can you really enter Krishna's Loka, Goloka Vrindavan. So without bhakti, no other process can give result. That means bhakti is actually essential, but the proportion of bhakti that you practice will vary among different seekers, and therefore the proportion of bhakti that you practice will also determine which destination that you go to. Remember, the Lord has said, if you remember, you will come back. If you remember me, you will come back to me. So, but depending on the proportion of bhakti, the destination will also vary. So, essentially in this particular shloka, the Lord is saying, to help us take our consciousness closer to Him, He outlines His extraordinary attributes. He is the wisest, the oldest, the smaller and the smallest, yet the controller of everything, inconceivable in form, radiant in transcendence, forever beyond the darkness that signifies impurity. So this is the essence of this shloka. And His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says, instead of depending on our own intention to purify us, if we just redirect our intention to thinking about the Supreme Lord, just that contemplation alone will purge us of our impurities and reinstate us in our pure original Satchidananda form, where we will become joyful parts of the joyful whole. So this is the essence of this shloka. There is a continuation to this shloka tomorrow, where we will get to shloka 8.10. So that's the essence of today's shloka. Yoga Mishra Bhakti, with one more shloka coming after this, where the Lord talks about how they will actually attain their abode depending on the practice that they invoke.
If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the bell notification. If you'd like to join our classes every day, please check the details in the description section of this video. We look forward to serving you.